To approve
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
with the finding. Proposed map amendment with the finding.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll call to order the
You're welcome, thank you.
Berea Planning Commission Work and Business Session, Tuesday, November 12th. Call to order the meeting. Recognize, are there any visitors here this evening that may not be on the agenda with any kind of business or concern? Seeing none. All right, Commissioners, let's take a look at the Tuesday, October 22nd minutes. The Berea Planning Commission, they are being submitted to you.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move for approval of the minutes from Tuesday, October 22nd, 2024, please, as presented.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Minutes are approved. Old business. Eipert Nicely Development LLC Vineyard Estates Phases 3A and 3B Letter of Credit expires December the 20th, 2024. $725. They're requesting extension. Anyone to speak to that?
You have a question?
No, I don't
So
have-
we would ask what your proposal is for, so this particular subdivision has been completed with the exception of one lot. And it does fall under the regulations, or 2018 regulations that stated that the infrastructure was to be installed within 2 years, and then they could reduce that letter of credit for just remaining sidewalks. So that's what has happened. So we have one lot on this letter of credit, and that lot happens to be a little small pie-shaped lot. And so if you could just tell us what your intention is?
I have absolutely no intentions at all. The lot is on the market. If it sells, then whoever buys it will build a house on it. If it doesn't sell in whatever time I determine is reasonable, I might build a house on it myself, but I don't have any plans other than it's on the market. My understanding was I had 5 years to continue the bond. I'm 3 years into it, is that right?
Yeah, we are ending year 3.
I'm ending year
So I
3.
did ask Ms. Eipert to come just so that we all know and we get it on the record. So we are nearing completion, the end of our year 3. So this would be an extension in the 4th year.
Okay.
And like I said, I can't tell you what the plans are on it because I don't have plans. Okay, it's on the market. I don't want to repeat myself again. I think, I drove around Saturday morning because this is the first time, I've been doing this since 2006 that I've had to come up to talk about a $725 bond. So I wanted to drive around the other subdivisions to see if I'm the only subdivision in the entire city that's got lot, how long is the lot? How many square feet or linear feet are we talking?
35.
35 feet. So I wanted to see because I don't want Vineyard Estates to not be in, doing what everybody else is doing. So I drove to Beaumont and I saw the great big circle that they have there with all the trees, and I think Beaumont's a pretty subdivision. I don't think it looks bad not having that little sidewalk. I think that we go in and put the sidewalk there. Whenever they dig all those forest woods out of there, they're gonna tear the sidewalk up. I hope they keep the forest there because all the critters that are living in that are gonna stay there instead of in everybody's yard when they clean that out. But I didn't think that was a problem. And then I go to Homestead. Homestead's a good looking subdivision. They've got probably 3 or 4 times what I've got that's not. Looks good, it was mowed, it was cleaned, I didn't see anybody, any problem with that not being done, because I know don't know what they're gonna do with those lots there, because there's a big water retention area or some kind of a blue line stream running through that. So I don't think I'm doing anything by waiting to see if the lot sells or if I end up having to build on it. I don't think I'm doing anything different than what the other subdivisions. Notice I didn't bring up Central Park. You're welcome. So like I said, I would think it would be very reasonable to extend it. It's not gonna break my heart, and, I'm not gonna grovel and beg you to not call the bond. But I'm not gonna go put a sidewalk in that I could sell a lot next week and someone's gonna tear it up and throw it away and then rebuild it, because that's wasteful. And I don't think anybody should be wasteful, especially government, in being involved in it. So that's kinda how I feel about it. It's 32 feet, $725, so y'all can do whatever you think is right. But I think that the Vineyard Estates should be treated just the same as the other subdivisions that have things that are 2 and 3, 4 times longer than what we have.
And so what happened is those regulations changed in 2018. So this particular phase of Vineyard is really considered for all purposes a different subdivision. So we don't look at it as an entirety, we look at them in pieces. And so
And that's fine.
this one.
Man,
fell
I came here
under-
because I respect you and you asked me to come, but you all can call the bond and put in the sidewalks, and when whoever builds them will tear them up, and then we'll throw them all away in some place, wherever is deemed reasonable, and then we'll build it back. But I think this is a little silly for $725 and 32 feet. It's my personal opinion, but I'll do whatever you all deem is reasonable.
Okay.
And if you approve it for 2 years, I won't come back next year. So there's a plus on that.
So if you do a bond, we can do that, but I think yours is a letter of credit, is that right? And I think
That's the way it's listed.
they,
It's listed as
yeah.
letter of credit.
Yeah, letters of credit, they will only issue for a year.
That's fine. Anybody have any questions for me?
No, ma'am. Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we extend the letter of credit of the Eipert Nicely Development LLC Vineyard Estates Phases 3A and 3B for the amount of $725 that will expire December 20th, 2025.
Expires December 20, 2024,
Right. To extend it to December 20th, 2025.
25.
I second.
We have a motion and a second.
Chair, before we take the motion, I would like to note that I'll be abstaining for the record on this
Yes, sir.
vote.
All right.
Noted. All right, any other questions or comments before we call? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right. Thank everybody for your time on that. Number 2 on the agenda, Wendell Combs, Christian ACH Villages of Beaumont Farm bond expires December 6, 2024, of $73,000, requesting extension for 1 year.
I am gonna speak to that, Mr. Chairman. This, as you know, is one of our very old subdivisions. Villages of Beaumont Farm is the 2 roads as you go into Beaumont. And so that is the first road on your left, which is Garden Gate Drive. And then, the second road on your left is Pauline Drive. So over the last year, we have gotten final coat of pavement on, actually, in the summer, we got final coat of pavement on where Harvest Commons was built, so the apartment complex. And as of last Friday, we got final coat of pavement on Garden Gate Drive. So we are now paved for that subdivision. So just in working with that developer today, we have agreed to ask for a 6-month extension. In fact, we are hoping that it will be sooner, that they will be able to, get the streets accepted into city maintenance, but we agreed to 6 months, that way if something happens. But, we think we would be asking instead of a year for 6 months to get those roads accepted into city maintenance. And then at that
So-
time, what would happen is that developer would come in and ask for, if the commission's willing at the time, and at the time we can discuss that. There would be a few lots of sidewalks that would still be remaining. Of course, we would ask them to put those sidewalks in, and that would be the commission's decision whether we let them reduce that bond for just sidewalks. Again, this is more like a 20-year-old subdivision, so it doesn't fall under those same requirements.
So this is a bond, and so you're actually saying it just needs to go to June of
Correct.
25?
Yep,
Okay.
correct.
Is everybody okay with that? Any,
Fine with that.
Oh, June, let's do June.
So June 6th is what you want to go with? Okay.
all right, the chair is open for motion.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve the extension of the bond for Wendell Combs Christian ACH, Villages of Beaumont Farm, for $73,000 to June 6, 2025.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion from commissioners or questions? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. New business. These are lots 151 and 170, 76 Boulevard, Thoroughbred Engineering. This is an amended final plat for Pennington Addition. And please come to the podium, state your name, and
Yep, Jordan Haney, Thoroughbred Engineering. So the original plat was done in 2003. This plat will shorten the road right away. I think it was about 400 feet to about 325 feet. And then with that, just kind of squaring up and making two equally sized lots, as shown.
and that's at the end of the road.
The dead end road.
Yeah, well, there's
where-
a gate there now, and it's.
Correct,
okay.
yeah. So it would be an extension of that road.
I was out there looking just to try and get that in my head, how it
Yep.
looked, so.
So I've got on the screen the way the lot layout is currently, and again, what this plat does is it shortens that and makes these two lots a little more equal in size. Is really the point of this. And it has been reviewed by our staff for all the technical requirements.
And this is zoned I-2.
It is, yes.
Looking it over to see who everybody is there. Okay, questions, concerns? Open for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I make,
Go ahead, Mark.
you sure? Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve the amended final plat for Pennington Addition, 151, 170, 76 Boulevard, for Thoroughbred Engineering.
And I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions, concerns from the commission? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you all.
Yep,
Thank you.
thank you.
Midlands Road subdivision, KJC Properties, preliminary plat with waiver for roll curbs and one entrance. Yes, sir. Just tell us who you are. Turn your microphone on there, please.
Stuart Spencer with Spencer Land Surveying, representing KJC Properties this evening. So we're looking at doing a new single-family development. You guys saw the zone change on this a few weeks ago. So this is our preliminary plat proposal, what we would like to do with the lots. As was stated, a couple of waivers we're asking for. One, we would like to do roll curbs in this development, if you guys would approve that. And secondly, we're asking for a waiver on the two entrance requirement, the main reason being that the state will not approve a second entrance. We did submit an application for two entrances. They denied one and approved one. So that is where we are. Other than that, everything in the development, I believe, meets the ordinance requirements. So I am open to questions.
So this was approved before, and there were two entrances, and then or you'd asked for two entrances, and one's been denied by the state.
Yeah, nothing's been approved before, but we went, before we brought the preliminary plat to you, we submitted our entrance permits to the state.
Okay.
And we submitted two entrances, but they denied one and approved one.
So in working through this preliminary plat, one thing I'll bring to your attention is that generally, we will see preliminary plat and construction plan, so you get the technical review at the same time as the preliminary plat. But in this case, because they needed that to know about one entrance to be able to proceed with their lot layout, it was really imperative to bring it before the planning commission to just look at the plat itself, so basically lot configuration. Before any work would commence, they would need to submit a full set of construction plans, and they're aware of that. And we will review that for all the technical requirements, including all utilities. The other comment I will make is that I want to just provide some context to how our regulations talk about more than one entrance. So LMDO 508.7.5 subsection 6 says more than one outlet shall be provided for the subdivision unless the planning commission makes written finding why this requirement cannot be met. And so again, I think, you know, that Menalus Road is a state controlled road. And so they would make that decision obviously on entrances. In terms of roll curbs, when we just rewrote our regulations, we put in a provision for, it actually says in residential use areas of R1 or R2 zones or PUDs, the planning commission shall have the authority to approve streets with roll curbs at the request of the developer. And so with that formal request, you know, we didn't really specify R1A, which is what this particular zoning is. But again, in my opinion, falls under that really kind of same R1 standard, really meant for single family dwellings.
Was Menalus Road the one that was denied by the state, the entrance?
That's right, yes.
So where would the entrance be now to the subdivision?
There is one entrance approved on Menalus Road. We
Oh,
had
there's
we
one
had
on
two
Menalus Road, okay.
we had two entrances coming out onto Menalus Road, and the second entrance was near where lot 27 is, and they denied that
Denied
entrance.
that one, okay.
So the entrance will end up being closer to Blythe Court right here on the map.
Right.
I'm sorry, Brooklyn Boulevard. Yeah, wrong road. Thank you. Brooklyn Boulevard right here. And it has been through, again, just for the plat itself, has been through the review requirements in our regulations.
But you're saying that fire and safety have not looked at it and weighed in?
They had an opportunity to review this set of plans, yes. So it has been through development review team.
Okay.
Full approval, but again, not for the entire set of construction plans, just for lot layout, just for what you see here, so lot layout, no utilities.
The fire department
Had no comment.
had no comment.
Yeah, had no issue.
I'm glad to see building going on. Another subdivision would be a good thing. We haven't had, new building in quite a while, so.
Okay. Other questions, concerns? Chair is open for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of the preliminary plat and the waiver for, roll curves and one entrance as it is, as the state will not allow another entrance.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any other questions or concerns? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes.
Thank you.
All.
I would just remind you that preliminary plats expire after a year. So, it
Not
may
gonna let me
be.
wait a year.
Well, it just may be that, I'm just telling you now, that in case you're not finished with construction, you may just need to come back and get it extended. But I don't see that being a problem either, just wanted
I
to.
don't think so.
Just
We'll
wanna
see
put that
somebody
out
else
there.
standing here if it is.
Okay, all right. Next up is our public hearing. This is concerning 1035 Peggy Flats Road, zone change request. Lester Stewart, Fincastle subdivision, phase 2. Requesting to change a portion of a .542, so a half acre, 0.542 acres, 1035 Peggy Flats Road from A agriculture to R1 single family residential. Anyone to speak on that?
Most of it all are new.
Just be sure to tell us. tell
Mr.
us who you
Attorney,
are.
I'm Les Stewart, or Lester Stewart.
Great.
And Betty, is David retired? Well, is D.Y. still living, or did he pass away? Yeah, bless his heart. Good man, good man. Anyway, hi, Amanda
Hi.
and Melissa and Mr. Gilbert.
That's right.
Oh, daggone, boy. I thought I was going,
I'm gonna swear you in before you tell him.
okay.
He was just calling roll, right? It's kind of what it felt
Swear
like.
affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Perfect.
Okay, purpose of this meeting, as I understand, is to rezone the, agriculture, the 25-foot strip. There's roughly an acre that I bought altogether. Part of it went around to expand, around that walking trail, around that pond, but, big part of it was to add 24 or 25 feet for phase 2 on the houses on the upper side. As it was, I think the lot depth was going to be 115, maybe 120 at most, which I thought was a little too shallow for that subdivision. So I bought the strip, 25-foot strip from Miss Phyllis Robinson to give them a little elbow room. And that was before, she agreed to that. And I didn't realize I had to get it rezoned because that was agriculture, and obviously the phase 2 of Fincastle development is R1. So, as far as I understand, it complies with the long-term plans that Berea has for their. Colton McGlone just gave me a copy of the overall plat of that area, and I think it will complement everything that Berea, and the area's growing, by the way. I've got 5 families from California, 3 from Texas, 3 from New York, 3 from Florida, 2 from North Carolina, and Idaho and Utah. No, not Utah. Idaho and Colorado. than Kentucky and Tennessee, so the area's growing, got a lot of new people coming in. So I'm requesting that the zone, or the members here will approve, that being rezoned, that 25-foot strip. I think it's, how long is that, Colton, that strip? About close to 800 feet or thereabouts?
There's a rough drawing in our packet if everybody got a,
Okay.
got a little
okay.
bit of an idea.
Yeah, you've got,
Yeah.
yeah, so,
And I will also put it up on the map, so it's this blue square. So
yeah.
as Les said, this, if I can get my mouse to work, the yellow with the lot numbers is currently zoned R1. And then you see, oh, my mouse does not want to show up. Well, you see to the left of it, that green parcel is agriculture. So again, as Les said, he purchased that 25-foot strip. You know, the implication of having two zones on one residentially zoned lot, for all intents and purposes, is really more about if people want to put accessory structures or anything. So very unlikely that somebody would build their structure there. But it comes into play when we talk about accessory structures. So I did encourage Les to get this rezoned to match the rest of the lots, for the simple fact that he won't have those issues moving forward with two zonings on one property. And I will just overlay our, so this is current zoning, and again, we're considering this blue area here. And I will overlay the future land use map, and it actually shows up there as low density residential. So it is in compliance with the future land use map of the comprehensive plan. And then I will just also state that all notices were sent as required.
All right. Any other, thank you, sir. We may call you back up if there's questions.
Thank you.
Any comments from the audience or concerns? Sure, come on up, just tell us your name, please, and
It's on.
Hi, I'm Marilyn Martin, and I'm a resident of Beaumont subdivision.
okay,
Actually,
Marilyn,
I'm
let me,
vice president.
we gotta get you sworn in here.
You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Okay, start over. I'm Marilyn Martin, and I'm a resident of Beaumont subdivision that backs up to that farm. And we do have concerns. When the other part was done, we had a lot of issues with the burning of debris, with the embers coming over onto the properties. I had to call the fire department twice. We had a lot of smoke. I could see the smoke one day when I was coming home from work from the interstate, and I thought my subdivision was on fire. The closer I got, the more worried I got. I have a pet. I couldn't let it out. I had concerns for myself. I had concerns for other residents that live on that street. All of us that live on that side and in the subdivisions, we have concerns. The other concern I have is the impact of traffic that is being thrown onto Peggy's Flat and to 595. And if you don't understand or believe me, come down there between 7 and 7:30 in the mornings and you will sit there. It's concerning. There are kids out there. We don't have enough space. I'm thinking in between. It worries me. When you start with things like this, you're crowding. And when we crowd people, then you don't have time. You don't have a way to breathe. We have an airport. Now we're throwing houses in there. And we've got them all around me. When I moved into Beaumont, there was 10 houses in the whole subdivision. Now there's over 40, as you can see on the map. So as I said, the residents that live on that side, because everybody didn't get a letter because I asked, the concern is the same thing that happened before and the impact of all of this going in behind us. I mean, it was more or less, first we didn't know. I was told when I first moved there, no, that's not going to happen. And then all of a sudden it starts, here comes the dust. I can't keep the back end of on the back side, the windows don't stay clean. My next door neighbor has a pool that's completely, every time they have to clean it. And if I am nervous, and it's upsetting to me, and I'm sorry if my voice is shaky, but it is a big concern. And as I said, you know, and I'm concerned about the animals too in the forest. They're all coming into the subdivision now. And coyotes, was one on my front porch about 2 months ago. These are all animals that were in those areas. Now they've been pushed out, and they're being pushed into the subdivisions where we have children. They're being pushed out onto the road where people are driving. And, you know, it's, you know, it may not be a concern to builders, but it is a concern for residents that live where these houses are going into. And I'm for improvements, but I don't want your debris of burning coming into my yard, or I can't sit outside, or I can't let the dog out because he's choking. So if there's any compassion about how we feel, then please consider it. And I have one other thing that has to do with our subdivision, and when it was said that that area was paved, Legacy Drive was not paved.
No, ma'am, it was, Garden Gate Drive was just paved last fall.
We were told that Legacy Drive was going to be paved. That didn't get paved. There's a lot of things that happens within our community that don't happen. It happens around us, but it doesn't happen in our subdivision. We pay taxes and we have concerns, and we just ask that you all consider us when you're making these decisions. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Anyone else from the audience? Commissioners, questions, concerns?
I had a question. The burning, was that construction debris or what was being burned?
That was the trees, whatever the brush was that was over there at night was burning. I got up in the middle of the night, I didn't need to say that, but it was in the middle of the night. I thought my house was on fire, and I looked out. I went outside and I looked, and I could see the embers of the pile of trees or whatever, brush that was burning. And this went on for weeks. So, I mean, if you ever woke up in the middle of the night smelling smoke and you don't know where it's coming from, it's concerning.
Yep.
One spark could have wiped out that whole neighborhood.
Yep.
And I had pictures, I showed them to the fire department.
So I got a quick question. I'm curious that you made the comment that other adjacent property owners, did everybody receive notice, Amanda?
It was only a few of us. The only ones that received the notices were the ones that backed up to that property, to my understanding.
Adjacent, right.
And that's,
Okay.
yeah, we have a list in our packet of who all was, provided. And there were several adjacent property owners. I don't know how many, but let me get 29. So 29 were people, were parcels that actually adjoin this parcel, or are, just across, we look at basically in a circle. So anything across the street would still get notified. So we did notify everyone of, anyway, that according to the statute, that at least touches the parcel or is within a circle. And just to provide a little more context, the zone change that we are considering this evening is just a small portion of those lots. So I just want to make that, to understand that.
So Amanda, this really small parcel that we're looking at, it would be just like if you had an accessory structure or something?
Well, again, without having those lots laid out, again, they chose to buy, Les chose to buy that additional 25-foot strip, but very likely those houses wouldn't be set back that far. So I would expect this would be those people's backyard for the new lots. And again, other than an accessory structure here or there, but again, that's where you kind of get into the complications when you have two zonings on one parcel.
Right.
There are just unintended consequences to that.
Let me address the fire issue, number one, Amanda. That was all wooded when I bought every bit of that. I mean, it was a jungle. I mean, you could probably get a rattlesnake through the thicket and what have you, but a rabbit, he'd have to pick and choose. But, yeah, I cleaned all that, but none of that is, of that 25-foot strip, except around that pond that to give more elbow room. None of that is wooded now. That's all the trees are cleared. And whenever we burned, I wanted to make sure that the wind was not blowing toward Berea or toward the south, being mindful of Beaumont, and also coming from the west, being mindful of the houses that's already there. So you have to pick and choose. If you're going to burn, make sure the wind is coming from the south and the east toward the northwest. And I was meticulous the whole time. Sometimes wind directions change before. We had some pretty good sized fires on that property a couple, 3 or 4 years ago. And it's taken 5.5 years now to get to this point. But essentially all the burning is, other than some of the builders, they burn some construction trash, 2x4s, and some excess plywood parts and stuff. But all the burning is for the preparing the area is essentially completed. That other 17 acres, I'm going to keep that as agriculture. I'm going to clear some trees and clean it up, because a lot of dead ash trees from the infestation that the ash trees had, and a lot of old dead trees. But I'm cleaning a lot of that stuff up, and if I have to, I can take it somewhere else to try to dispose of it. But to burn, you know, for that location, I think all builders is pretty conscientious about what they're doing, and developers. We don't deliberately try to burn stuff and it going toward the town or toward any other residences. Try to burn when the wind's going that way, the other way. But anyway.
So if I'm not mistaken, open burning within city limits is not legal within city limits.
Unless you have a burn permit.
What?
Unless you have a burn permit. I just did some lots that cleared them like that. They give you a permit, and they recommend you do it after 6 o'clock in the evening, so.
And it also depends on what time of year, so, and how dry it is. So
Yeah.
all of those things matter, but that's why the fire department requires the burn permit, is so they can give you those out burning hours. But I have heard that oftentimes it is after 6 p.m. I don't know if that's a certain time of year,
I don't know,
or,
but that's what they say. And it has to be all vegetation, like, you know, it can't be, you know.
yeah,
it
it's
has
not supposed to be
trees and leaves
construction
and stuff.
debris.
Yeah.
Other thoughts, questions, anything else?
just have one question. Wanted to make sure that, that 25 feet along there is not for construction. There's nothing going to be any, please.
That 25 extra feet is to give the homes, I think there'll be 7 or 8 along that, on that upper side, 7 or 8 homes. Got a little bit of a graveyard site there, not going to be a home built, you know, well, there'll be a home built on this side, but there's a 25-foot section between the property line to the edge of the property line of the gravesite. But in answer to your question, that is going to essentially be their backyards. Won't be nothing built there. And there'll probably be more trees as, you know, the homeowners plant trees and what have you, so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, concerns?
Well, let me just ask, Ms. Martin, does that address your concern? Sounds like there was something else. It does? Okay.
I remember this development. Have we already approved preliminary?
They did a conceptual plan with the original preliminary plat, because we always ask them to show all future phases. So phase 2 was on that preliminary plat, but they are in the process of designing, the construction of phase 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think because that was going to be a cul-de-sac there. I remember the conversation about fire and safety. Anyway.
Yeah, I believe so. That's a cul-de-sac, yes. Yes.
Okay, so the chair is open for any motions.
I would like to make a motion to approve the proposed map amendment with the finding that the proposed map amendment is in agreement with the comprehensive plan and the future land use map.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions or concerns before we go to vote? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. That is the Peggy Flats Road zone change request. Have a motion to adjourn?
I have one comment before we adjourn, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
We will have a meeting in December, and let me just check that date, I believe it's the 12th.
I think we thought that was illegal, isn't that right?
And we will actually have, so it'll be the 10th, thank you. And we will have a company coming in to speak to us. So I wasn't able to secure them when we did our housing study, or our housing discussions, learning sessions. I'll get it out in a minute. But we do have a company coming in to discuss affordable housing. This company does a lot of grants for federal housing, and so they're really just going to talk to us about how those grants are secured, how those projects work, really again just kind of for our knowledge in working toward this comprehensive plan update. So they were willing to come, so that's going to be in December.
Who is that?
The company is called, I hope I say this right, Woda Cooper. Are you guys familiar with Woda Cooper? John says yes? Okay. And so again, they do all different types. One of their developments, which I have many, but one of them you may be familiar with is Pebble Crossing in Richmond. It's on Big Hill Road.
Oh, yeah.
That's just the closest one I'm aware of to us. But again, they do more federal grant type housing